So I've always had this longing for a sense of duty, always. Like my past life, I kind of ruined that, opportunities because of drugs and alcohol. Then after the airport, I had went into makeup. Makeup, I love makeup. It's a hobby, but as a career, it's more of a passion than a career for me. And I remember praying, asking God to find me employment where I'm doing something, I'm helping people, and I can, talk to them about Jesus or whatever. And I was on Indeed one day, and I seen the St. Louis County Justice Center. They were hiring for a corrections officer. I looked at it. I didn't do anything. It took me about a week to apply. Or no, before I applied, I had talked to my husband. It kind of caught him off guard. He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I'm in
He's like,
prison.
"I don't know." He's like, "I don't know."
I'm in prison. She's like, "Hey, what do you think about me being a CEO?" I'm like, no. I was like, "Where you want to work at?" No. I was like, because I remember all the creepy stuff, and maybe at that time, before I was getting myself together, I was probably one of them creeps too. I was like, "There's some creeps in this place."
Yeah. No,
But
it's,
I'm glad that you took that job, because it just it just has I don't know. Jail has developed me, and jail has developed you, and our sentence has developed us.
part of me was saying, just do it, take the risk, it'll be all right. If God protected my husband in prison in, some bad situations, he's gonna protect me, you know. For example, if I'm working in the infirmary, it's medical and the psychiatric side. So what really strikes me is like mental health is real, okay? It's like seeing these individuals, and I think that, that's one reason why there's repeat offenders. It's a lot of drugs and burglary, and it's a mental illness. I feel like they mask it with that, you know what I mean? It's burglary, stealing, and drugs for the most part. Like there's offenders that have been in jail since 1998, and they just keep, going back, and, going back to the mental health thing. That's what I think it is, and just the burglary, drugs, mental health. It all goes hand in hand, to me anyway. That's, what I, get out of it. When they come into the infirmary on the mental health side, they are given medication, or they may be given medication, for the first time, okay? And I do believe that they send them out once they get released or whatever with the medication, but it's up to them to, take it. I think they also make appointments for them and give them resources, but like I said, it's up to them to follow through. So. Once he went to prison, that's when I started looking into prison reform, and I started, reading these articles about how these inmates are, abused and, killed, and COs are doing it, It's horrible. At my job, there's people that like to abuse their power, and it makes me sick. They're like, would you talk to them out on the street like that? What if that was your brother or your mother and somebody's treating them like that? They don't think about that, And that's why I like to consider myself the light in that place. Like there's been several times where I talked to inmates about my past and how God has broke the chains, and and how I'm an overcomer, and you can be an overcomer too, and the ones that do seek Jesus, I tell them, don't just seek him in here, seek him, he's on the outside too. Seek him in your good, your bad, and in your in between, don't know, I just try to put myself in their shoes. And, I care, and I see a lot of CEOs that don't care. And that's what gives the good ones a bad name.